So welcome. Okay, tonight we have special guest Leana. Leana has been extremely blessed to communicate with higher realms and divine essence since she was a child. She arrived with an incredible knowledge base of mechanics and electronics and became an engineer scientist focusing on the study of frequencies for space application. Little did she know that she was being prepared with exceptional information and truths that have been kept hidden from the world. This path would awaken her memory of quantum knowingness, enabling unbelievable insight to the higher realms. Having extremely clear channels of communication with the divine realm, the ascended masters and angels, she is continually being exposed to divine knowledge, wisdom, truths, and healing techniques that have been hidden from the general population. For over 30 years, she has taught many modalities and introduced the structure and the word of divinity to all those searching for real truth, real power, and real freedom. She has also assisted in changing the lives of hundreds of thousands of people by helping them tap into their higher states of consciousness. She has finally completed and mastered the first journey of her life and is now fulfilling her divine purpose to awaken the light workers and assist with the victory of cause to freedom. She is dedicated to assisting all those who truly seek their higher levels of consciousness, enabling them to step into their true divine power, live their divine passion, and obtain once and for all true freedom in all aspects of life. Please give a warm welcome to Leana. Thank you so much.
It's Leana.
Oh, Leana, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So
Yeah, a lot of people call me Leana, which I think is cool because Leana, and I think it's French, means the light. That's cool.
you're definitely the light. I mean, your spirit is so amazing. How that energy that you bring to the table every time I speak to you, it's always there, and I
Much
just
like your own, right?
we
So
try.
how are you?
Yes. So we're here to ask you today, Leana, questions about what you may know considering this QFS or quantum financial system that you are aware of and that many others are also familiar with the term, but we may not know much about. Go ahead and take the floor.
Okay. So the first thing I want to get out there, which people have to comprehend, is the QFS is a system. It's just a ledger system, but it's a system put on something bigger, and a lot of people call it the quantum computer. And it is not a quantum computer. The QC is quantum consciousness. So what happens is, and just to give you a little background on this, it has been around since the beginning of our planet. So when they tell you, and you hear this all the time from different people, that they know everything about you, they do, because it's been quantum consciousness that has been tracking everything. Some people call it the Akash, some people call it the cave of consciousness. There's all different names for it. It doesn't matter. It's the total quantum consciousness, and it's from a higher dimensional plane. This one happens to be from the 12th dimensional plane. So in order to comprehend the QFS, you kind of have to understand, negate, ab initio, you kind of have to comprehend the quantum consciousness. So what happens from this is, and it's been used, let me tell you, you can use this. It's been on this planet, and we've been using it since, God, the 1800s is the stuff that they had given me that I saw what we were doing. For anybody to think that these technologies are, these suppressed technologies are new, angry dolphin. They've been around forever. And if you think we built all these big things like Grand Central Station and everything else with horse and buggy in the 1800s, you got to kind of step back and say, how did we do and move hundreds of tons and with our little chisels make millions of the same florets all around, identical? It's because they erased consciousness and they started it over. They're doing the same thing now. So before we get into the QFS, the DNA, which is why they're doing the vaccines, and everybody knows about this, but the DNA, I'd like you to look at it differently. It's not dionuclear, whatever. That's the science word. It's divine natural attributes. And your RNA is your realm natural attributes. So the divinity comes down, and as it does, it chats to the realm. They want to stop that communication. That's what the injection is about. It's keeping the DNA speaking from the RNA. Now, the DNA is in, that's the word I want to use, synchronicity with what's going on the quantum consciousness field. So how this works is there's a place called the Grand Central Universe, which is where the center of all this starts. And if you can imagine a shutter on a camera, you know how it opens and closes. What happens is it's so powerful. It's what's called the divine thought fields. And behind there, when this shutter opens, and if it opens like the thickness of one hair, the light is so amazingly blinding. And that's what's called the photon energy, or the Christ consciousness. It has many names, but a rose by any other name is still a rose. So this energy comes down, and this is the photon energy, and it hits our sun, SUN. Isn't it funny that sun SUN is the same as sun SON? Step down transformers, you know? And then on the sun, picture, so all this energy is coming from the grand central universe, and picture a microwave oven. You know, if you put a cup of coffee or a cup of water in there and you push your button and the higher frequencies hit it, the molecules start going like this, and then the cup overflows. That's what's happening with our sun. Our sun, SUN, is a step down transformer. If we got jolted directly from the grand central universe to here, we'd explode. So it goes to the sun. It's sending a lot of frequency to the sun. The sun starts doing this, and solar flares. That's what solar flares are. And the solar flares come out. Now that solar flare, interesting enough, we call the sun. It wakes up what in us? Vitamin D. That's dimensional plane. There's the 3Ds you got to master for the third dimension. First, you have to have the desire, then the decision, and then the discipline to hold the decision. And that's how you master. So every time that sun does solar flares, it's like expanding us and contracting us, expanding us. It's trying to assist us to the next dimensional plane, which is what we're doing. So all that, I know, long story, but all that was to be said so that you can comprehend how the QFS works. Because the QFS is, think of it as a massive mainframe. And here's something that, you know, everything in the universe is designed after us. And it's interesting that a lot of people can understand computers, but the computers are designed after us. We have an operating system. That operating system is our divinity. Then we have the memory, the hard drive, the P, where the programs are stored. And so the QFS and the quantum consciousness is the same thing. It's a massive consciousness. You can believe you have consciousness within you. We can call it chi, Holy Spirit. I don't know what people call it. There's a million names, but it's that consciousness. And that comes into us. And then from there, we use the memory, the 3D computer, the P brain, to work with our DNA and set forth the realm natural attributes. So the quantum consciousness is a 12th dimensional consciousness. It's a massive, massive consciousness. And I'm going to call it a mainframe. It's not a mainframe, but just to make it like computers. And when that comes down, it's different dimensions for every system. So we're between 3, 4, and 5 right now. And that quantum consciousness knows everything because we are all connected to it. And that's why when you hear them all say, well, it'll know everything you're doing. Yeah, who else knows everything? Not our government, divinity, right? So now on that, there's a lot of systems on the quantum consciousness. It's been around for years. Our government uses it for lots of things. But one of the systems that they're putting on it is what's called the QFS, quantum. It's a financial system. It's not a program. These are not programs at all. They're systems. And systems go on the consciousness, and the consciousness controls it. Now, this is the first time we're having, in a long time since the golden age, we're having our financial system put on the quantum consciousness. So this way it can control where the money goes. And I don't like to use the word control, but it follows everything, and it will remain following I'm going to call them the quibits, following the quibits, following the bits of information so it knows where it goes. So everything is tracked. It's a ledger system. It's the highest ledger system you could ever imagine. And then on top of that, what happens is we can't have this unless humankind desires it. Because remember, we are free will, we're still a free will planet. And what that means is we have the right to choose darkness or light. We're still, not all the planets are like that. The ones who already advanced and said we only choose light, get lights. But we're still choosing dark and light. And you all see the darkness here, so we get it. So until we get to that level, it would be crossing dominion for us. So right now, where they've got it all here. It's been here forever. It's been here since the beginning of the planet. It's always been here. It's part of our system. And we're putting this financial system on it to do away with the central banks, to do away with the third dimensional control of the water, because we, the people, we have dominion over the land, the water, and the air. That's where law comes from. Land is the most powerful, we the people. The air is the trust, the SESVQ trust. And then the water is the admiralty law, which is just policies. So those three things have to be in alignment in order to accept the quantum consciousness. And then once that's in alignment, then the QFS is operational, because they're not permitted to track everything we do unless we all agree to it. And that's what the quantum consciousness of 3D is coming up to, so that it's on board now. 209 countries are working to go with it. But before we can actually use it and send the quidbits and it's not blockchain. Don't let people tell you it's blockchain at all. But before we can use it, everybody's got to start. It has to be like you said before, Ellen, the 101 monkey. We have to get the majority, the magistrate, to agree to it. And that's where we are, and that's what it's working on. But it's just a ledger which will follow everything. The money for it, the gold, has been there, and it has been there forever. It's not coming from these Dubai ones, Dubai two, all this other crap. It's not coming from there. It's been in there. And for every gold, there's so many certificates made, and they're numbered, and they're tracked by electronic footprint, at the best we can explain it, by consciousness, and it will be tracked wherever it goes. So just like when you're blasting out light, you can't accept fear. And the higher dimensional, 12th dimensional consciousness will not accept anything satanic up there, nothing evil. So that's why the system is so safe. And we're just embedding a ledger system on that. Is that enough?
Yeah, that explains a bit, but now how are we going to segue over to this new system? Because we have an entire planet to try to shift in consciousness. And, in order to get to that point, there's a lot of work to be done.
A lot. And that's why I'm saying all these people keep saying, everything's done. Oh, God won, everything's done. It's not true. There's so much. There is a system, a computer system that has been, it's like a personal laptop, and it has been configured so that you can access the ledger system. So you can send money here, there, and everywhere. And we never need any more banks ever. Everything could stay in that system. Remember, you're exchanging digits. You're not exchanging hard stuff. So until everything comes to play, it's going to be digits, but you can't take everything away from everybody. They're going to freak out. You cannot take people's money away and whatnot. So from there, you will bring it into what people are calling blockchain, a type of cryptocurrency, a pass-through account. And those tokens, which are really quidbits, will be configured and changed to do business. And then that will have the information. Let's say I'm going to transfer, I'm buying a car from you, Ellen. although your cars aren't in the greatest of shape.
Not really.
I'm going to buy your car. So I would take from my account, put it into this, I'll call it Quidbits, assign it in there, would have your coding for your account. It would have all your coding because you would give me your codes, and then it would be sent to your account. Done. What do you need a bank for?
Mhm.
The banks are what control the bar, the bank. They control everything. And they have used money to enslave us.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we already know about the overlords and their program that they've been running. But well, that's very insightful. We do have a question already. James, do you have a question?
Yeah, hey there. Hi, Lena.
Hey, James.
I was just curious at how and when did we lose the quantum consciousness on Earth, or at least the utilization of that? You know what I mean? Like, how did that happen and when did that happen?
You guys into this? Okay, here we go. Rabbit hole number 65,000. Okay, so what happened is, and a lot of people, the place was really dark. This has happened many, many years ago, where we just keep coming back and shifting into it. But we give away our dominion. If people comprehend dominion, you comprehend everything. It's in the Our Father. The only thing in the Bible that they tell you to say is the Our Father. And it says, forgive us our trespasses. It's not sin, it's dominion. We are the king of our dominion, or the queen of our dominion. That's kingdom, queendom. That's where it comes from. Free dominion is freedom. It's no coinky dinky. They called the software that stole our election dominion. They were stealing our dominion, and we gave it away. And back 2,600 years ago, when a guy named Yeshua, Jesus, Yahweh, whatever you'd like to call him, walked the planet, um, he basically said Satan rules, satanic force rules. It rules the planet. So it was given away from there. And it became demonic increasingly, more and more and more. But they know, remember, um, quantum consciousness, the power and the Christ photon belt is pure, unadulterated power, and anybody can use it. So they wiped us clean of what we knew, and the elite kept the information so that they could use it to enslave us. And that's where all that came. So it's been happening. It's like, if you believe in Jesus and all that. I don't want to get into biblical stuff here, but it was before Christ. But according to the Christians, they didn't believe he died. Then why would it be after the death? Because there was no death. It means after demonic rule. They put him away, and it was after demonic rule. So that's what democracy means. Demoncracia, demon rule. We are not a democracy. We are a republic.
Yes.
There was no Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
It became a Democratic Party when they had to stop the Republicans. And the funniest thing, you guys can go, don't take my word for any of this, just look it up. You can go look up, when we started this country, there were more black people in the offices of senators and whatnot than there were white. And that pissed the elite off. And they took on, that's where the Democratic Party came. And that's where it all came. So we lost that consciousness that quantum consciousness used billions of years ago. That was pretty much why Yeshua came here. He was trying to enlighten us to remember who we are. But we chose to give it up. We came here. We actually taught from our heart. We connected. This is how it's supposed to work. We connect our heart. You can look this up in science. There's actually 3 flames and more synapses in your heart than there is in your brain. And you would get your communication from your operating system, divinity, and then you would use the P, which is the most powerful 3rd dimensional tool we have, to project out into the substrate and then bring towards you in the law of circle and attraction what comes back to you, and that's how you be created. But they taught us to look outside ourselves, and as soon as we did that, we lost everything.
Yes, I do agree with that. There's a lot that people are rediscovering about the 1700s and the free energy that we had.
Oh,
But
yeah. If you look at all the monoliths and stuff, they were just towers. And, you know, do you know to have a city, you must have a cathedral? Why is that? Because those are the towers with the spires on it that was projecting and everything. And you know, it's kind of like the stupidity thing of, oh, they built the pyramids with a bunch of slaves pulling blocks. I mean, come on.
No, there's no way. No way. Like they try to explain things with the most mundane resources. It's like, no.
Yeah, and even if you look at, now you can tell from my accent, I'm from New York, born and bred there, love the place, and they destroyed it, not there anymore. But if you look at Grand Central Station, the plaques, I mean, the amount of stone, and then all around it is these silhouette, perfect flowers, identical. That was not done by horse and buggy and somebody with a bang, bang, bang. They tell you it was built in the 1800s. All these magnificent places they tell you were built in the 1800s. But then I say this, why did you need something as grand as Grand Central Station, which houses tracks from every direction? It's a huge thing to carry huge amounts of people if there were no people here. Why would we build such a big railroad station? Why would we build these monstrosities? Because in the 1800s, that's when SARS came out. And I have a picture which I show people, which I don't have on me now, of a guy from 1813, I think it is. They have masks on, just identical to ours. And he has a sign on his chest, and it says, wear a mask or go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So they did the same thing. That's why they're wiping out history. They keep wiping. Every time we come to awaken, they have to wipe us out. And they're trying to do it again. And that's why people have to come into the knowing of who they are. You read Genesis. You are guaranteed by your divine creator dominion over the land, the air, and the water. It is the law, L-A-W. It is not legal. If you look up the definition legal and you go all the way back, legal means to undo God's law. So you have to start, this is all about us. It's not about the white hats and doing everything. We need to step up and claim back our dominion. And you don't have to do that by battling. You just have to step into who you are. And that's how we lost all our quantum consciousness. We lost everything. But it's there. People say all the time, I did a DNA course, and people say all the time, oh, we got to activate your DNA. Bull crap. Your DNA is doing exactly what it should be doing. Nothing, because you're not talking to it. You're not telling it to do anything. So it's sitting there going, oh, I guess I'll just give it enough air and energy to keep it alive, And we continue to get sick. Talk to your DNA. You are the king of your dominion. No exceptions, no excuses. You don't like your world, change it. I've been chatting with my DNA to make this younger, and it's changing. You just gotta talk to it. Wakey.
That's true, because most people don't get that whole connection with, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and it is God. It's the God Word. It's you being able to make a sound, any sound, with your voice. That's just like, we can mimic all the animals, we can mimic all kinds of things. We have that frequency that we emit.
Yeah, the Christ consciousness.
We do have a question from Cheryl. Cheryl, do you have abilities to have?
No, my camera is not working right now. I had to send it in. I'm waiting for it to come back. But I do have a question for Leana. Leana, on the QFS, they are saying how mortgages are going to go away. Anything that was under the Federal Reserve. Now, are banks going to be doing? Since banks are going away, will there be mortgages for other people in the future, or will we not be doing mortgages anymore?
Okay, another rabbit hole. Rabbit hole 9,000. Here we go. Okay, there's a funny thing about mortgages and everything. Let me get something here. I think it's here. This funky little thing, where is it? Come on. Well, in 1923, we have something called a greenback. I can't find it. I had a dollar bill. Oh, there it is. We have one of these, okay? These lovely things. These were originally backed by gold and silver certificates. These were asset backed, okay? And everybody says, I was a little kid and I used to go, Dad, why is it saying God we trust? We got all this evil stuff on it, okay? Because which God are we trusting in? But in 1971, I believe it was, Nixon took us off the gold backed standard and put us on the fiat dollar. Now, the fiat, what is a fiat? It's a decree. They stated right then and there that this is legal tender and that it's a fiat dollar. Fiat has nothing to do with the oil. Yes, it's based on the oil prices, but fiat means they decreed it belongs to who? Satanic rule. That's what the whole back is about. So the God that everybody thinks we're trusting is not the divine creator. That's why I always use the term God, divine creator. And you can verify that by the first, if you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, the first of the commandments or commitments, whatever you'd like to call it, I don't pick on those kind of words. I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have any other gods. That means there's a lot of us here. Which one are you trusting? So what happened, now this thing here, when you're born, I'm getting to the mortgages, but you have to have some background. They created every hospital, every birthing center as a foundling. I don't know if you people know what foundlings are. Foundlings are places where you can go in if you had a baby, put it in a basket, drop it off, turn away, walk away, and you wouldn't be in trouble. And you don't have to give your name. It's where you give a baby to the state. It's why when you have a baby, you are taken to a foundling, a hospital. And when the mother gives birth, they say, register. You get a certificate of birth. You are selling, you are dropping your baby off and you are signing it to the state. And at that moment, they take away who you are. You no longer are sovereign. And this is getting to a mortgage because when you were born in America, I can't speak for other countries, but in America, under the Republic, you are giving a CESVQ. Forgive me for not pronouncing it right. I'm horrible with CESVQ trust. The trust is the highest law in the land above the people. It is, that's why it's, I don't mean highest as far as power, I mean where it sits, the air. And the trust is your sovereignty. The trust, you never have to do anything. And everything you ever bought, sold, your house, you could have taken from your trust. When you're born, and now it's up to, from what I understand, 2 million. But let's say when I was born, it was $500,000. They take that trust because your parents signed you over in the hospital. And now the state becomes the trustee of your trust. No longer your parents, no longer you. And then what happens is they came out with these things. These are legal tender. If you don't know what a tender is, it's a debt note. It's just a piece of paper that says, I will pay you when I die. That's what a tender is. So now, when you go and buy a mortgage, and you get a house, and you get yourself a mortgage, they are taking the money that's yours because they're trustee of your trust. And they're telling you, they're giving you IOUs. So you sign that mortgage over, and you're so nice. You're going to pay it back. It's your own money, but you're going to give it back to them with interest, no less. Mortgages are completely illegal. There is no, what's that word called? Value. There's nothing. It's just transfers on a ledger, a financial ledger. It's just transfer. There's no value to it. That's why, remember when they took away all the farmers' lands? That's what the farmers' claims are about. They took the farmers away. They couldn't pay them in this because this has no value. It's paper. You have to pay them back with value, something of substance. And when they took us off, this is worthless. This is a contract to keep you tied into demonic control. It's nothing more than a contract. So now picture a ledger system. Here's your debts. Here's your credits. The first 16 years of your life, Nobody touches that money. They can't. It's your money. You're not of age. When you come of age, you're supposed to go and claim back your trust, but you don't. So the trustee takes over. And the trustee has everything. So when you die, this is why I tell you, they know everything. This system has been used against us. They know absolutely everything, every dollar you ever spent and what you spent it on, because you are leaving IOUs everywhere. These are IOUs, they're serial track, they're everything else. They track everything in this system. So when you buy a house, you're putting down this money. You're agreeing, I owe you. And you sign your rights over when you take a mortgage to the state to be trustee of your house. You can easily get rid of mortgages. They're so illegal, it's crazy. But so you sign that over, and then I apologize for saying this because we all did it. I did it. We're stupid enough to pay interest back to these morons for lending us our own money. And they're not even lending it. We're IOUing it. Yeah, we're signing. Yep. I'll give it back when I die. So now you die. Here's the ledger. If when you were born, you were given $1 million, let's say. Now, for the first 16 to 18 years of your life, you don't spend a dime of it because you're using your mommy and daddy's money. So that money is put on trading platforms, completely illegal. By the time you're 18 years old, that $1 million is turned into billions. Billions. And then you have a whole life to live. And the more you contribute, the more it grows. So how many of you spend billions of dollars in your life? None. If we spent $1 million on a house, it's a lot. So when we die, they say, okay, they settle, they take the credit, they put it to pay the tender, they even the books off, and there's billions and billions of dollars left, and nobody claims them, and they take it. So completely illegal, that's your trust, and you are the beneficiary of grandpappy's and grandmommy's trust. You are the beneficiary of mommy and daddy's trust. So think how much money has been sucked out of the system, and they keep it. When I tell you, people talk about the Zim notes and everything else, hundreds of trillions, they can't imagine that big. You are worth more than that. So this whole thing, we're only going to give you, no. They're only going to give the people who don't create or don't comprehend that they are the rightful heirs of the trust of the earth given to us by dominion by the divine creator. So mortgages cannot exist. They're completely illegal. You will never have to pay for a house again. It comes out of your trust. Your cars come out of your trust. Do you know if you went and bought a car now and you paid all cash for it? The minute you sign, you got to register it. You're registering it to the state. You're giving it over to the state. If you were to say, oh, no, I'm shipping it overseas. I'm not registering here. That car is yours out and clean. Nobody can touch it. That's the same with a mortgage. When you sign that paper, you're given title to the state. You don't have your title. You don't have your deed. And then we get so excited. Yeehaw, we paid off our 30-year mortgage. You gave them 30 years of money on top of money. So does that all make sense?
Yes, of course it does. So, but
Yeah, it
how
does.
can we remedy that,
Is that part of the monies they say that will be coming back to us from our Social Security and our birth certificates?
Absolutely. Now, your birth certificate, like I said, they created everything foundlings, and if you read the birth, you have a birth certificate. You are certified to the state. You shouldn't have one. Why are we signing our kids over to the states? Get your birth certificate. And then, I used to teach people how to go to the FCC codes. Everything is in the FCC codes. In order to get your trust back, all you had to do was follow the steps. It's all written there. But nobody takes the time because they've got you as an indentured servant for so long. You can't breathe. You run around like a chicken with no head on, trying to make ends meet. And you're entitled to the riches of the divine. But you're not getting them. They keep putting you as debt slaves. And that's what this whole thing is. They have, in order to be Nisara, they have to make things right. They have to pay back the money you are owed. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, and I don't know the lawful aspect of this, but what bothers me is I believe they're putting it all into one big fund, and they're going to dish out like $1,000 a week to everybody or a month to everybody, which in my concepts, that's socialism. You know, if a brand new kid, 18-year-old kid, his account's worth $1 million and my account is worth $5 billion, and we're putting everything in a pot, we're giving everybody an equal share. Why? Why aren't you entitled to what's rightfully yours? And that's what I speak about when I say you've got to claim your divine righteousness. You need to have your house in order. You need to have the law of the air, the law of the land, we the people, and the law of the sea, all in order in your sovereignty. You can claim as much sovereignty, and do I have that thing here? Yes, I do. Okay, this is our world right now, where these are timelines. There's all the timelines emerging, right? And we're standing in the middle of it. This is us, our little feet going beep, 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 beep. Now what's going to happen is this. It's going to shift. 3D will be here. You don't want to be here at all. And what's happening now is this is how we are. Our heads are in 5D and our feet are still stuck in 3D, basically. We're awakening spiritually, but you cannot claim your divine sovereignty without undoing all these contracts. You have contracted with Satan, man of Satan, Masonic, demonic, these things. Every time you pass a dollar bill out, you're making a contract. I have a dear friend, the only one I really know that's completely sovereign. He has his own court. He's at everything. He never uses any of this. He will take all, and he has a big business. He takes all his money in Susan B. Anthony dollars because they're made by the Treasury, not by the Federal Reserve. It is not a debt note. And he does all his business in coins. That's why there was a shortage of coins. Everybody was taken because that's lawful currency. This is not. Does that make sense? Did I explain it enough?
One more little thing I wanted to mention, when you were talking about how they built all these huge cities and everybody wonders how all these gigantic buildings were built. You see a lot of these pictures from the past and they show you these gigantic cities and it looks like they took the pictures of the 1800s or 1700s from the air and there's nobody in the whole city. The pictures have no people. And you're thinking, how could you get everybody in the town to be gone just to take a picture of it?
Not only that, if there's no people there, who built the damn stuff?
Right. I mean, look at those things in India. Oh my God, they have so many of these gigantic towers and cathedrals that are just incredible. And who built them?
We did. But we were flashy thing, men in black. They took us out. If you research history and you'll find out in the 1800s, SARS and all these things, they had all these diseases and they vaccinated people and the people wiped out. The hospitals were inundated with babies. From where? They had to restart. They definitely had to restart.
How do we know if our DNA is the good DNA or if we are a hybrid DNA?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know, does it?
What matters is everybody, every human. See, this is why they're after us so much, because darkness cannot exist where there is light. And in the human is the divine code. Nobody else has. I mean, there are other, like the Palladians have it, the Arcturians have it, but we're talking here on this planet. We have the divine code. The demonic world does not have the divine code at all, at all. And that's why they're always after us, because they know if we were to wake up, one person could wipe out the whole demonic world. Because it cannot exist. If you're in a pitch black room, or just picture yourself being way up in the atmosphere, right? And looking at a pitch black earth, not one light anywhere. And one person in India goes and clicks a bic. You'll be able to see it. One little light lights up for billions of miles. So darkness can't exist where there's light. So what did they have to do? They had to shut down our light. They had to shut down, as James says, when did they shut it down? Well, way in the beginning. And they are the most patient SOBs I've ever met. They have been doing this for millenniums and eras and eons. And they just keep, every time we start to wake up, they redo us. Every time they start to wake up, they reset us.
Thank you.
Nah, I appreciate you.
Yeah, so that ties into the Tataria thing that was more recent that people have been talking about on YouTube, the 1700s, of it being some sort of reset. So it seems like it's actually happening in sequences of a few hundred years or whatever. It just keeps happening or repeating over and over. And I know some of the researchers are actually saying that it has a lot to do with time travel. Like they'll travel into the timelines and try to stop this whole Great Awakening, I guess. I don't really know how it works. I know the Montauk Project and Philadelphia experiment and these types of things have been out there for a while.
Well, I say to people all the time, because I was involved in the Montauk. That's where I lived, and that's where I worked, and that's where, as my memory keeps coming back more and more, I tell people a funny story. I had this pimple right here on the side of my neck, and it was driving me nuts and driving me nuts. But, my hair covers it. I never saw it. This is, back in the 90s. And I owned a healing center and a gym and everything at the time. So one of my people, I pulled my hair back because I was working out and they went, ew, that's disgusting. I forgot it was there. Like, ooh. So of course she had to drag me to a dermatologist, and it's never fun when you hear the dermatologist go, and they're cutting it out, and he says, oh my God, what the heck? You never want to hear that. But those plastic yellow things that they get in the hospital that you throw up in, they give you to throw up in. Back then they were metal, they were stainless. And the dermatologist goes, ding! And it was a little implant. Once that was out, the recall of what happened at Montauk all came back. All of it. And that time travel, on my Tuesday and Thursday groups, I've showed documentation and stuff. We've been doing that for eons and eons and eons. And Project Gateway, before it became Project Looking Glass, was you could time travel in it. How in the 80s was Tesla out in Montauk? Thought he's supposed to be dead. But he was there with us. So, yeah, they've been popping back and forth. And then they opened the time when with Philadelphia, and that movie is half right. There's enough right in it, but they messed it up a little. But when they opened the time-space continuum between Philadelphia and New York and Montauk on that timeline, and they jumped timelines, they couldn't close it because Al Cameron is still existing on Long Island. And they kept that open because they don't know how to call it. So they bent the grid over the tri-state area, New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York, and Long Island, that whole area. So that's all bent up and opened. So our timeline, where we're supposed to be, shifted. It's been completely shifted. And it's, we were supposed to go with 2012. Remember the 2012, 2000, and it was supposed to end, but it shifted many years, and nobody can calculate that because it's a quantum shift. So I'm thinking that we're closer to the original timeline now because of the shift than when it happened.
Yeah, definitely works. But James, you had a question again?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to get into this, but I was just curious about like the details. So how do we get rid of our mortgage and reclaim our trust and our sovereignty? Like, like what are the steps?
Ooh, there's a lot to that, but I'm going to tell you this now. At this point in this junction, to combat it now is probably a big mistake. You'll be ending yourself up where you don't want to be. There's such a battle going on now, and there are lots of people that I know. When I was teaching how to get it from the FCC, you know, the whole where you open a trust, there's departments in the government that you would, in the old days, you would just open to get your trust back. You would, according to the UCC, the codes of regulations, you would have to first write to this department. I can't remember the departments, and say, okay, I am of age and I'm claiming my magistrate. Majority is what they call it. You claim your majority. That's why they call it the magistrate 12, majority 12. You claim your majority. Then you have to open another trust. Then you would go in and say, okay, you go to another department, you contact the trustee of your trust by your number, and they transferred into the other trust, which you are now trustee of. But when you did that and people wrote checks, they came after the people. So there was like 3 of them, lawyers that we knew, and a real estate person too, who we got them to successfully do it. And they had to sign away that if they ever opened their mouth, all the money would be taken back and they would be put into jail for life. So to me, there's so much control right now, and there has been for years. And there's a lot of people who just wrote checks against their account and they paid their car and they ended up in jail because they didn't do it the proper way. And now, I think it was last year or the year before, they rewrote all the codes. So now it makes it even harder to find the steps. So they purposely don't want you to have access to this now. There are people that are doing it, but a lot of people are losing their houses. They're not. If you don't follow it precisely, you're going to lose it. And then because so many people, we started doing it, they cranked up the arrest records, if you will. And here's another thing. If you go to court, which most people do, and you have an attorney, you have declared yourself legally insane. You are not capable of handling yourself. And the court, the bar runs everything. Okay, so everything. It's run by the Queen. It's the British, whatever the bar stands for. I can't remember it right now, but it runs everything. And when you go to court, your lawyer is an officer of the court. The DA is an officer of the court. And the judge is an officer of court. Do you know it takes 3 signatures to get your butt in jail? You must have the signature of the judge, the prosecuting, the DA, and you. If you don't sign that document, there's no way you're going to jail. But what do? You claim yourself mentally incompetent, and you hire a lawyer, and your lawyer signs it. When they send somebody to prison, the amount of money that comes from your trust that is lit up, they split it. And lawyers actually get money from your trust. They get paid to put you in jail. And people don't know any of this. And they don't want to. It's bonuses. It's because they're officers of the court. So, and it's getting so out of control now because they're looking to really squash the light, that if you were to try this now, you would probably be stuck in that system. And I don't think anything's worth that right now.
Hi,
Hi. She's over there.
thank
I've
you.
got monitors everywhere. People are popping up
Thank you.
on all sides.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. I just wanted to give everybody a website, AnnaVonWrights.com. She is a judge and she's helping people expatriate themselves from the U.S. corporation. So we are now American nationals. We've expatriated ourselves from the United States municipal and territorial citizenship. We are now not under the law of the sea. We are under the law of the land. And when Trump talked about the government's or the powers going back to the people, this is what he was talking about. But Anna Von Wrights, REITZ.com. She has got 3,300 articles on how to do everything, how to all the forms that you need to do. And if people join their assembly of their state, the assemblies, the Georgia Assembly, is helping us. The more we grow it, the more we get bigger, the more we get to walk in and take over every federal building. Because we are of the land, law of the land. We are free sovereign beings. We're no longer of the corporation. We are of the American of the United
National.
States unincorporated. Yeah, unincorporated.
Unincorporated trust.
Yeah, right. And so someone asked about the money. The vendor cards will be coming out, and right now Florida has been 3 years ahead. Georgia only has about 100 members right now. Florida has been 3 years ahead of us, and they already have a 6-month wait to get your vendor card, to get your paperwork in order to get your vendor card. If you go to TASA, what is it? TASA, American
State Nationals with an S.
American State Nationals with an S.
.org.
TASA, AmericanStateNationals.org. They're telling you, you go in and tap on your state, and then it'll tell you how to do it and what to do. Nico is our state coordinator. We have 2 recording officers right now, and they help you record your paperwork. It's amazing. It's exciting. It's just exciting.
Yep. And what's going to happen, she's absolutely right. The thing that becomes an issue is that because Anna organized for every state the General Assembly. You have to have a General Assembly to monitor everything. And she's organized that. However, what's happening is it's that she's trying to do, it's a big undertaking, to be perfectly frank. It's a huge undertaking. And what's coming very soon is you're not going to have to go through all that once it's come. So you can do that. I mean, I'm an American nationalist, but you can do that. But here's the thing that most people don't comprehend. You can choose to be a sovereign for one part of your life and not for another right now. So like if you want to do an exchange, you do it as a sovereign. As a private, you were doing it on the private side as a sovereign, and they can't tell you what to do, how to do it, or what not to do. It's rightfully your Donata. So the public will do it as not a sovereign. So even if you're not an American nationalist at this time, you can still do an exchange. You can still do a lot of things as a sovereign. It's like, and even as people, let's say you're a sovereign, you're not. If a cop pulls you over, and you go through the whole rigmarole, which you can say it all. You know, I don't need this. There's a whole big thing that you can't make me get a license and all this other stuff and yada yada. You can do all that, and you can't give me a ticket because you're police. Police. The word police is a policy enforcer. That's what it is. It's the policies of the Admiralty law. But if you don't abide by that, you don't think the cops are going to take you in? Of course they will. They're not knowing enough on the lower levels, the ones that we deal with. So what you do is you just accept the ticket, and then you have 72 hours to rescind any contracts. So you just take your ticket and you write it across. I rescind this contract. I do not agree with it. And you get rid of your ticket. But if you fight it, you end up in the clicker. So there's a lot of ways to do this stuff, and there's ways to get rid of your mortgage very simply and easily. There's a lot of ways to do it. But right now, because I know a lot of people are ending up in jail, and they're not mentioning that on I love Anna very much, but I know a lot of people who have done things, and there's nobody to get their asses out of jail. There's not the money there. So at this time, okay, I play in the system, I'm a nationalist, but there are certain things I'm going to play out of the system. And then it's a movement. But the big thing is knowing it's there. That's the first step. It's like you can't awaken to your divinity unless you know it's inside of you. And there are people way down here that we call the demonic ones that have no clue about it. But we call sheeple, we judge people, we call them sheeple. They've been brainwashed, they've been MK Ultra. So they have no idea of it. But then when they start finding out, then they start meditating, look, and they're climbing and climbing and climbing. And that's what we're doing with the national stuff. You start and you climb. And there are more people who are further up in that. Every state, you can go to your state national assembly and you can join and become a member. Like I forgot the lady, that beautiful lady that was just speaking. You can join your assembly. You can go in there. For some states, it's a waiting list before they contact you back. You become a general assembly, and then you can protect and take back the buildings, like she was saying. She's absolutely right with that. So it's all where you want to be. What was her name? She was a brilliant lady. Where was she?
Hi, my name is Bambi Chemist. I play a registered nurse, a hospice nurse.
There you go. Tough job.
No, actually, I'm able to help people transition peacefully to the next realm. So I love it.
I say to people all the time, I don't know how they can be nurses. There's no way I'm going to change somebody's bedpan. Not happening. So
yeah,
lots of blessings to you.
Thank you.
All right. Sean has been waiting for a very long time. Thank you, Sean, for being so patient.
Oh, sure. I'm so happy to have the chance to talk with you and listen. So my question is like on the more practical level, like, just for clarification here, are you saying that we need to stop spending, like, should we stop spending money? I mean, how do we practically, how do we stop, giving away the IOUs and things like that? I mean, what's something practical that we can do to kind of help with the...
One of the things like I said, I have a dear friend, and I don't know anybody more. So I'm going to tell you a story here. It's quite amazing. He's in Wyoming, and to look at him, you would laugh at him. He looks like Howdy Doody. He's like 6'4". He's a beanpole, weighs like 25 pounds. He's about 80 years old, wears a hat that I swear he's had since he was 12. And, the bolo tie and everything. He's out in Wyoming. He claimed his sovereignty 30, 40 years ago. He's been in jail many times, but he claimed it. And you know what he did? He claimed himself the head admiral of Admiralty Law on the head ship. And the ship is the planet Earth. There's only one admiral on that ship. And because via the definition of everything, the way it's worded, the planet Earth is a moving vessel. So he can actually claim his sovereignty. And that's how he did it. He has his own common law court. He's had it for years. When he travels, he just makes a phone call. The whole Admiralty Army comes and takes him. No passport, no drivers. I mean, he's a true sovereign. Nobody touches him. He's a postmaster general. He's all of that. That's the only true sovereign, I believe, that I've ever run into, really, really run into. Nobody messes with him. And he will never, ever, ever use this. When I went to visit him, he said to me for the first time I visited him, he goes, "Hey, I got to make a deposit and take some money out. Would you come to the bank with me?" I'm like, "What do you need me for?" But what happens is you take out $100, you're getting 100 Susan B. Anthony dollars. Those things are heavy, and he takes out $1,000. They keep bags and bags and bags of these dollars because they know him. And he will never do this. So you can do that. But another way, which is more practical, and Sean, you're younger, so you'll jump right on this, is crypto. They can't control crypto, and like XRP, which is going to be probably, it's not written in stone, but I believe it to be one of the ones that will be asset backed, working with the QFS. And you put that in your own cold wallet. Don't do a hot wallet. Put it in a cold wallet. So get a cold wallet. If you go to Uphold, which is a UK company, there's no 1099s, there's nothing. You purchase your Ripple, you put it in your wallet, and you transfer it, and nobody has any concept of what it is. And now if you want to, you can take it out. You can buy gold, platinum, silver, anything with it. You can transfer it into US dollars. So now you can buy things with US dollars, but you're not touching it because you're doing it in crypto. It's the equivalent. So you can get a cold store wallet, but I warn you not to get one that plugs into your flash drive. The because that can be tapped in through the computer. Get one with a QR code working from your phone because they can't track the light.
This is all very synchronistic. I keep on hearing crypto, 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 so I'm taking it as my sign. So thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because, you know, and I'm not being nasty, but the younger generation can handle the crypto a lot easier than the older generation is going to be able to.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Like you know, that whole crypto thing, I've just been looking at it with the side eye because I'm like, I don't know about all this.
That's decentralizing. They can't track anything. They can't tax you. They can't do a blessed thing on it. It's your own private bank. You get a little wallet, you know, you get something like this. It's a wallet, and you put all your money in this wallet. That's it. And it's coded in the blockchain, and along with the blockchain technology is the codes of everything that you use with it. This is the closest to a ledger system that's decentralized. And this is how people are going to get their freedom back.
Yeah, well, you know, they monitor our phones and everything that we have, all of our devices, and then Visa actually backs the XRP. So, you know, how is that getting away from their control system?
Because when you bring it into your cold wallet, they can't track it. There's no way of them knowing it. It's not in a phone. Use your codes. You get, what is it? Sean, is it 12 or 24 words? I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm still researching the whole crypto thing, and this is my nudge to.
Okay, you get
really,
12 or 24 words that you have
Mhm.
to put in order, and the blockchain can't be cracked into. It just can't right now. And then they can't break into it. So your nobody knows how much money is in your cold wallet. No one, except you. And that's why you don't put it on the computer and you don't track it and do all that stuff, because that can be tracked.
Well, then you're saying you can't put it on a computer, but you can put it on a phone?
It's not on the phone. You can do the transactions on the computer or the phone.
Oh,
But
okay.
in order to transfer, like if I want to pay you $100, in order to take $100 out of my crypto, which maybe if it's $1 for an XR for Ripple today, I give you 100 coins. Okay. If I wanted to transfer 100 coins to you, I could do and set it all up. I say, give me your code, your account. It's a QR code. You give me the QR code. I scan it in. And then I say, okay, I'm transferring into that QR code from my QR code 100 coins. But in order for doing the transaction, I got to tap into the bank, which is the wallet. So if you're using the wallets on the computer that plug into the flash drive port, the USB port, that can be hacked. If you're using a wallet that does light to light transfer by QR code, by scanner, it can't be hacked. So make sure you go for the better unit and get like an LPL or something if you're going to do that.
Yes. Leanna, I have a question. What happens if you lose that?
Oh, if you lose it, it's not a problem as long as you know your code, because they break, they die. I mean, some of them don't charge that much. And now you're over here. You're jumping around on me. I'm looking at him like he's actually there. If you lose it, it's okay. You just get another unit and you put your codes in. But they're words. It's not a code. It's 12 or 24. I think it's 24. I can't remember how many. I have to look it up. But they're words like frequency, meditation, calcification, happy do. They're all words, and they're in a certain order. And you have to put those words in the right order. So when you get a new unit, you just type in your right words and you get back into your wallet. That is on the blockchain.
What if you forget the order?
Then you're screwed.
So there's no way. I mean, what if you're in a car accident and have amnesia? There's no way you can ever get your money again?
Nope. It's like the bank burnt down and all your cash was in it. You're lost. That's why a lot of them give you 2 security blocks. They're metal, they lock, they're fireproof, they're everything else. You put your codes in there and you give your codes if you want to somebody you can trust, or you put it someplace else in another safe. But as a sovereign, you are responsible for all your actions and everything. So you should be responsible for your own bank, your own riches, the riches of the divine.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, we have a question that was asked in the chat a while back. The people that took the vax, will they be able to participate in the QFS?
If they're still alive, yeah.
Wait, what'd she say?
Exactly.
I said if they're still alive, yes. I don't know. Nobody knows. And all these gurus out there, you know, I've been, how am I going to say this without getting in trouble? Let's say I get information from the Alliance, we'll put it that way, okay? And nobody will tell you when, where, how, why. Now, at this time, let me ask you, Ellen, are your people RVers?
Are they RV? I think some people are, you know, we've got a lot of awakened people, but we're on different levels of awakening of different things. And
okay, so then I won't go into that.
No, please do. Please do. We want to hear it.
Oh, she's over here. This is weird.
This is Cheryl.
I have split screens everywhere. It's like, oh, which one she
I'm
had?
an RVer. Tell us.
What was I saying?
You asked if who is an RVer.
Okay, so we're going to use my little. Now, I did this real fast on a call, so don't mind my circle. It's not really cut out well. I kind of ripped it. So there's two things happening right now. There's a great reset, and there's an RV.
Right.
Reevaluation. Here you are. You're standing in the middle. I need my teeth. I don't have enough hands. This is the reevaluation. This is the great reset. If you go in and if you follow the laws of this crap, you will be doing and remaining and latching yourself into 3D. If you go in as a sovereign, claiming your dominion that was given to you by your creator in Genesis 25, dominion over the land, the earth, the land, the air, and the water, you will be here. It's like somebody asked me today, well, you know, is the Alliance working with the Ascended Masters for humanitarians? Humanitarians is a third dimensional word. You are not a humanitarian. You are a sovereign. You have the right to do whatever you choose. Humanitarian, if you look up the word, it means us helping someone, doing something. You can't do that. You're crossing dominion. That's a reset. That is not, you know, gangster banksters. Reset.
Right.
Reset, reset. I tell people all the time, okay, this is a check of mine that I destroyed. So nobody saw my checking account and all that good stuff on it. But the important thing, you see this line? It has a little MP, microprint, 98%. Take a magnifying glass to it. It says authorized signature. You don't own any of your money in your bank account. It belongs to the bank. When you opened an account, you didn't read the fine print. Everything you own belongs to the bank. You're just an authorized signature allowed to use it because as you do it, you're spending what? Legal tender.
Right.
And they're getting more of your trust. That's why Grandpappy and Grandmammy buried everything in the backyard. They knew what was going on, but they wiped that clear from people. Everything was buried, right? They never used banks. I want to know, when did people start trusting the government and the banks? My parents didn't. My grandparents sure as heck didn't. Did any of yours? They used to say, oh, yeah, they hated the government. They hated the banks. Now everybody trusts everything. And that's how we're just giving up our dominion. We're giving everything away. They don't even have to ask for it. You know, it's like these things. Everybody got a smartphone. A lot of you have smartphones. Did you ever read the terms and conditions of any of these apps? You signed away all your rights. So we give it away. We even put a bow on it and wrap it up pretty and say, here you go. Here's my power.
Yep, very true. Very true. But, you know, in order to use these items, you know, you either sign and agree to their terms or you don't get those apps and abilities is what it is. It's all a trick. But we have another question. John Olson, would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, I got a lot of questions.
I saw John sitting there going, oi,
Yeah.
oi.
Well, I sometimes feel like I'm in a totally different world than everybody. You know, back when I was a kid, way back when, they said you need to save for your retirement. So I did that, you know, and so I fully understand. You know, you take the money in the bank, you put it into crypto, and that's easy. But what if your money's all in an IRA and they want to charge you penalties and interest and everything else? Is there some way of doing that? And then they're talking about taking half of that away from everybody. And so it's
Actually,
like,
there are ways around things. Now, I don't know if I should say this in public, but may I ask how old you are?
70.
You can take it out. Why aren't you taking it out?
Can I take it all out? I didn't think I could take it all out at once.
You will be taxed. I don't, depending on your IRA, what type it is, you will be taxed on it or whatnot. But you can take a huge amount out every year with no penalties. And why aren't you converting it into something of the divine?
Well, I need to start doing that. That's for sure.
You know, what is man-made and what is God-made, divine-made?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I got
Precious metals and stuff, you know.
I have a safe full of God's money.
Don't tell that on the air. She's putting this on. Cut that out. He's going to get mugged.
It's not here.
So, you know, but you can take out so much, and you know, I can't give advice. You've got to
Yeah,
find
I
some.
understand that.
But if you're over 65, and if you're not, you know, you can go and get disability, and if you get on disability for a year, you can take it out with no penalties too.
Yeah, disability is one of those things that really bothers me. I half my career I worked for defense contractors, and I worked around veterans who had a system to all become disabled, you know, have no taxes on their houses, no taxes on their cars, drive nice cars, play volleyball and play baseball and play all kinds of stuff, yet have a handicap plate, you know, because they played the game. And you know, a guy in my
Yeah, but
church.
the thing is, they were getting out of the system where you stayed in.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
They were getting their rightful money because it belongs to them, and they're spending it, and you're giving it back.
Okay.
So there's always, you know, you can play in the system. You can, there's ways around it. You know, we are very, and you know, things are changing. Back in the 80s when I did this, there was nobody who knew it. I mean, Anna's been around forever, but she used to try different things, and people ended up in jail, and they kind of just, you know, oh, well, that didn't work. Next, let's try something else. And I didn't want to be the ones that were in jail. And you know, so I also had things I couldn't speak of from what I did. So I'd assist people, but I'd sit back a little bit. But what's happening now is it's going to get to the point. I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when this happens. When this happens, it'll cost you like $35 and sign some paperwork, and you got your sovereignty back.
Yeah, one of the other things that concerns me, you know, you keep hearing from all different factions, from Anna, from Simon, from Charlie, from everywhere, you know, everybody's going to get millions of dollars. And I look at that and I go, okay, so let's say we give $2 million to every man, woman, and child on Earth. The next day it's going to cost you $800,000 to buy a car.
It's all relative.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but that will take the control out of money. There will be no enslavement then.
Yeah.
And where we're going is back to barter. The old days, you know, in the golden age, you get a community and everybody does something in the community. That's the golden age where we're heading, but that's going to take a while because we have too many people down here that, my gosh, you take this away from them, they're going to jump off buildings.
That's for sure.
Can you
Hey, I got
repeat
a
what you
question.
said?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You are quite welcome. I appreciate you so much.
Hey, what's your take on the stock market?
Let's just put it this way. I buy high and sell low, and I'm not trading down. I don't do the stock market anymore. What's going to happen with it? I have no clue on this one. I mean, I've heard so many rumors, but I have no contacts or I have no knowledge of it. I never did. I tried dabbling it. I tried following the candles and all that shit. Just not my cup of tea. I can't give you an answer.
So
to that.
should we be selling stocks and buying crypto?
I can't. I have no idea. That's a personal choice. All this stuff, guys, is personal choice. Because what's my truth isn't your truth, and what your truth may not be my truth. So you need to go inside and ask the divine. Trust your gut. You'll do the right thing. And here's a big clue. If anything puts you into fear, if you're listening to somebody and they make you feel frightened, where the fear comes up, that's not the divine. Don't be in fear. The minute you accept fear is the minute you tell your DNA, go back on the back shelf, do nothing because I'm going to accept Satan's rule. So if somebody's preaching fear, 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 run away, run away, run away, because their fear is what the satanic forces are controlling people with. Remember, they cannot create. They don't have the divine code. They cannot create. They can amplify, magnify, and manipulate what you've created. So if you have a program in you that says I'm worthless, well, they can jolt that up to 1,000,000 times and you'll feel like a worthless piece of poop. But they cannot create. Only those with the divine code within them. And that's the DNA, divine natural attributes. Think about the old days when you used to see the demons and the things on the top of the buildings and stuff. Demonic, real demonic beings. There is no divine code. There's no DNA in them. So you have the ability to create. You are connected through your divine natural attributes is connected to the quantum field through your Christ consciousness, your iron presence, and your causal body. It's all connected. And you can go into that field and expand out and you have all the knowing. If you let go of this and go quantum, you'd know everything. And then it wouldn't bother you anymore. You'd stop playing in those places and you'd start realizing who you are and you don't worry about money. I don't worry about money at all anymore. And everything comes when I need it. I just put it out there. I need a new computer. Boom, it shows up. It's gifted to me. Something happens. Somebody buys it. It doesn't matter. Money comes in.
All right, we have another question. Did that complete your other question there, Doug?
He wants to know, but I have no.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I understand what she's saying.
Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Don't understand anybody. Comprehend. Never understand. They tell you that all the time. You go to court and the judge says, do you understand? And you go, and you understand them. Don't ever understand. Comprehend. Exactly.
All right, Jean, go ahead with your question.
Yes, Leana, I really like what you do. I'm a retired respiratory therapist, and I started doing weird things like reading the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I'm now a Reiki master, plus I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm a retired respiratory therapist from 35 years. And what you're going to look at is graphene oxide in your vaccines. They ask me every time, do you want the vaccine? I just give them the short answer on that one. But I won't take it. I've seen too much and I've known too much. And the more I find that I thought I knew, the more I found out I didn't know. I do have some crypto. I'm in Litecoin and I use a treasure and a ledger. And what is your take on this Bitcoin ATM machine?
Okay, the Bitcoin. I can tell you this about Bitcoin. Again, I don't give financial advice or anything, but Bitcoin was set up to traffic children.
I heard that. Plus, buy drugs.
Yeah, to do all the demonic shit.
Yeah.
That's how they did it, you know. And if you, the people who started accepting it, like, oh, what is that place? Not Overstock, the other one, Wayfair. Just think of what that is, Wayfair. You know, just think of the word first of all. They actually sold cabinets with children's names on it, and they were like one of the first people to start accepting cryptocurrency, Bitcoin.
Well, the funny part was when I was putting stuff in my office here, because I've got my office in Covington, Georgia, and I was on Wayfair looking, and I was looking at throw pillows. Throw pillows, $16,000. I said, man, that's got to be a.
Yeah, Ashley just wrote $30,000 for a pillow. Expensive pillow, man. That must be so sewed and threaded with gold. I mean, come on.
Yeah, smart. But you know, I never thought about everything because I do Merkaba meditation now, and I'm on a Merkaba diet, and I find it very easy. But these are things I never thought about doing when I was working in a hospital. This was all crazy stuff to me, but then all of a sudden I'm doing it, and I do work with people in hypnosis and stuff like that. And I've done several patients that transitioned over from this dimension to the next, and they had cancer. And I find it very rewarding to work with that type person. Mm-hmm. So that's all I need. I was wondering, but yeah, the Bitcoin thing, I stayed away from it. I'm basically in Litecoin and Ethereum, but
I can't tell you. You know, that stuff is still all up in the air. Who's going to be gold back? Who's going to work with the? But you know what makes me think the most is all the banks are trying to get hold of XRP, and it's been outlawed in almost quite a few states.
Well, don't the banks have Ripple?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to. That's the same XRP Ripple.
Oh, same thing, right?
Yeah.
I hadn't dealt with it for a while, but at the bank, when I opened up my banking account for my business, they asked me, they said, you're not going to do cryptocurrency, are you? I said, well, I do it, but I won't run it through this account. And yeah, I do have people contact me and ask me if I'll take cryptocurrency. And I said, not at this time. I hadn't researched it far enough to be able to accept that as payment.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, feedback. The interesting thing about that is, and I find this hysterical, I moved to the Carolinas. I'm up in the mountains. My people told me 2 years before the vaccine was coming that it was coming and to get the heck out of New York. So I did. And I'm up in the mountains. And this is so interesting. It's like how do I put this? I got to watch what I say sometimes. I get myself in more trouble. When I went to get an account with Uphold, which is in the UK, I still keep a New York number. Because my mom has dementia, that's the only number she remembers. They would not allow me to get an account. And I fought them for weeks, like, why? My address, that's not your address. I couldn't even enter my address because I was not permitted to buy any currency, crypto, anything. And I found out New York is banned from it. And because I had a New York phone number, they thought I was a New Yorker. I had to send so much documentation to prove I had a house and where I lived, the whole 9 yards.
Well, when I went to open my account to do crypto, because you don't run it through the credit union, come through the medical credit union, and I asked them, I said, don't y'all know about this? They said, no. I said, well, Goldman Sachs just put in something like $2 billion into crypto, and they didn't know anything about it. And that was several years ago.
When they start making it illegal, and they sued, you can't buy XRP in very few places because they're suing it. There's a big lawsuit. When they're trying to stop something is the first flag that tells me it's a good thing.
There you go. Well, thank you.
I appreciate it.
You've been very informative tonight, that's for sure.
I've been doing this all day today. It's been a long day, but it's good. But, you know, I just want to interrupt. You said you did respiratory and you do Merkaba meditations?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm a hypnotherapist now also. I invested in myself and went back into hypnotherapy because I still like to help people. And you wouldn't believe what I catch. I catch people high anxiety. Do they take the shot? Do I not take the shot? I can't tell you to or not to. Then they asked me, and I said, I can't answer that.
Yes,
But
I've been
with all
doing
my
hypno for 30 years. I started with that. But the thing I want to mention is come to our meditations. We do meditations constantly. Go to the website. There's lots of meditations. And we do one where we're gathering all the way showers to eliminate all the darkness.
Have you heard of the Merkaba meditation?
Yeah.
It is awesome. When I first started doing it, I go, okay, because I kept seeing something. But why was I guided? I felt like I was guided to do this because I'm on Social Security and all that, retired from the hospital, you name it. And it's like I kept going, and everybody thought I was crazy, and I kept going and kept going, and I didn't care what they thought. Okay, so I kept to my tracks. But now I'm seeing clients that I'm seeing around the world. I've got one in New Zealand, you name it, and they're fixing to have to take the vax. And he said, what do I do? I said, well, that's up to you. But he said, what would you do? I said, quit the job.
Yep.
We've got a guy here that he took the vaccination to save his job, his wife, his house, and everything else. He's on a ventilator. What did he save? Nothing. It cost him everything. He won't make it.
No. And what I tell people, and this is really interesting, and people say, oh, no, I have good people. I have good people. If your heart is pure, you will not get the vax. You will be made aware of it. Because my mom is 88. She's got dementia. She can barely, she watches the match game. She only watches game shows, right? So she thinks Richard Dawson is still getting married, next week. This is how I have to speak to her. So my whole family, with the exception of me, I'm the nut, I'm the black sheep, but nobody even talks to me. They all wish I was dead because I'm a Trump fan. It's like, when did politics become a way of death? You're
really.
And then but the point I'm trying to make, my mom has no idea who president is. I mean, she's not here, and she is fighting every one of them and says, no, I'm not getting this. It's not right. This is a woman who doesn't even know who's in office. She doesn't know anything that's going on in the world, clueless. And she has such a pure heart. So what is that? She's got lots of issues, believe me. Oh boy, does she have issues. But her heart is in the right place. So
right.
People with pure hearts are not getting it. And everybody gets mad at that. I'm saying that's living proof.
Yeah.
Here's a woman who doesn't know which day it is. She can't remember that she said hi to you 3 seconds before she, hi. She can't even remember my name sometimes, but she knows not to get the vax. What does that tell you?
She's lightened up.
It's all about the heart.
Yes. Okay. Well, you can go to somebody else now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jean. I'm going to jump over to the chat question real quick. We're going to back up a little bit. When are the Q phones coming out? I've never heard of that, but have you heard of that, Lena?
There are Q phones out now, but I don't know if they're legit. Guys, the whole phone thing, like if you've got one of these iPhone from Jobs, Stephen, it came out with the iPhone 3. Did you ever think what was iPhone 1 or 2? The iPhone, the original iPhone was intelligent phone. It was used, and Siri, let's see if I can remember what it was called. Satellite recognition. I forgot the I. Satellite intelligent recognition. What's when you pick directions? What's that called? It starts with an I. Can't remember it. You guys know. What's the directions?
Indicator.
No, it's a more technical word, but it's
GPS?
something. What was that?
GPS?
No, it starts with an I. But what Siri was designed for, and what the iPhone was designed for, it wasn't a phone. It was a phone that you call back and forth. But Siri was a satellite into you would control missiles with it. That's where it came from. And it was so when they changed how they did it and they upgraded, Jobs put the computer that he was making on the back door, and he ran with this. And if you don't think for a minute,
was that part of Iridium? That was about the right time.
No.
No. Okay.
But the quantum phone connects to the quantum field, as does a quantum computer. However, this was intended for the right things and has been taken over, destroyed, everything else. So they have Q phones, and you can buy them for $600 something. I couldn't tell you my contacts on that. It doesn't even come up. I think the whole thing with what's coming out now, I don't believe it to be truth. I don't know if it is. I couldn't tell you. But when we go, there's going to have to be new technology. But beware, again, this is why, I tell everybody, forget the RV, forget everything. Concentrate on this. Concentrate on catapulting yourself into the higher consciousness. Because if you can't hear your divinity saying, run away, go there, go here, if you can't get that on the fly, you're not going to have time to sit and light candles and go, and all this other, but the music nice. You're not going to have that time. And you need to know on the fly, am I going in the right direction? You need to hear from your heart to your head. You need to hear your own divine aspects, the higher aspects of you. You need to hear your presence, your Christ consciousness. You simply say, my mighty I am presence, my Christ consciousness, I surrender. You take control over the ship. You steer the helm. I'm going to surrender. Take me where I want to go. And you need to listen. And if you can do that, you're going to get here. If you can't do that, you may be stuck here. And if you get into their reset, I can't imagine. Because this lower one, this is another 26,000 year cycle. Right now, all the timelines have merged together. It's like a highway. You have the service road, and then you have the expressway, the big highway is 5-6 lanes. Well, this is probably 20-30 timelines all merging at once. And where all the way to the left is the better timeline. So you come on, you may be sitting in 3D, and sometimes you go into 4D, you travel back into 3D, sometimes you're 4D on the higher plane of 4D, and you keep going in and out. But sooner or later, that express lane is going to be for divine passengers only. Remember how you drive, you have to have 2 more people? Now it's going to be divine passengers only. And if you're not there, you're going to get stuck for another 26,000 cycle. So everybody's focusing on all this other stuff. Your main focus should be wakey, wakey.
There's another question in the chat, and then we'll move over to the hands. So what is the next move for us to do collectively?
Shine your light, be way shows. Does everybody love Ellen's hat? Every time I see her, I just want that hat. It is so cool. Anyway, you're awesome. It's so pretty, Ellen. But we've got to come together as a community. We, the people, remember what it says. Dominion was given to we in the image of the divine. We inherited the earth. We gave up. We are trustees of this planet, and we, the people, gave up our trusteeship. We gave it to a bunch of demonic ruling cretins. We've got to claim it back. And we've got to come together, shine our light. I don't like the word light worker. That's an older term, because we're not working. We're showing the way. Just light up. I say it all the time. If you have a faucet and the water comes out of your faucet, when the faucet's off, you can stick a pea up it, right? The minute you turn the faucet off, there's no way you're getting that pea up it. You can't stick anything up that faucet because the water pressure's coming out. So if we blast the light out, darkness can't get back into us. And when you're blasted, and you all see this, you walk down the street with a big smile, you'll see the ones who run in terror from you. Oh my God, what's wrong? And then you'll see the ones that just want to hug you, and they're so happy. And everybody, I'm sure there's not a person here that doesn't have family issues now with the vaccine. You can see everything separating. It's doing this. And we're all part of this. We need to keep, we need to get our stuff here first. And while it's still here, then we can reach down and we can pull and assist those who aren't there yet, who want to. But we can't force people up here. But they're dropping and they're dropping and they're dropping. And pretty soon they're going to be out of our reach. and they're going to be stuck. That's when the shift happens. And we won't see this anymore. Will be the next dimensional plane up, which I think we're still the Atlantean plane.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for that. And Cheryl, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to ask another question on the QFS and the reset, what's coming. When they said that they were going to get rid of the mortgages and the car payments and stuff that people have debt in, do they take that out of your trust?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I know that's part of Nasara. And I know that people have already had a lot of debt wiped off.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that, unfortunately.
It's interesting, the people who are getting it. It's surprising.
People who file bankruptcy, because being in the mortgage industry, you see a lot of that. Did they go and take, when they filed bankruptcy, did they take that from their trust too? Their
It
loss?
has to be. That's a debt that has to be paid.
So that's how they do it. And yet then they turn around and tell them, oh, you can't buy nothing for 7 years.
Why? Because they lost so much money, they got to put it back on the trading platform and get more. They're greedy, and you have your right to your heritage. You have the right to your parents. I mean,
do we have a right to our parents?
If they've died and your grandparents, you go back 3 generations. That's your inheritance.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you read, I mean, and this lovely book here, if you read it as a technical manual, because I've done lots of technical manuals in my life, it is the most amazing. It's so encoded. Ask to see the truth. I've never read this because I was one of those people, religioning you, and I hated the Catholic Church as a kid, but my dad's off the boat from Italy. My mom's family's off the boat from Ireland. I'm doomed Catholic, right? So I was so into it. I hated it. And if I went against it, I would get slapped in the face. You can't go against the Catholic Church. And I used to fight it. So I never read this because the Catholic Church swore by this. So I thought that was the belief we had in it. And man wrote the Bible, right? And one day I was told, so you're telling me the creator of all that is and all that is not can't get a book written? I went, okay, where do I start? I didn't even have a Bible. And I said, well, if you want me to read it, you're going to have to get me a Bible. And as God is my witness, a guy that was in a pizza place who I assisted knocked on my door, and we went to church, and he said, and it's the only one I ever owned. You can see it. He wrote it out there. Mikey, he was 30 years younger than me. He was a kid working at a pizza place, and I just helped him get rid of some issues. And he came to my door that day. It was a Sunday after church, and he said, I was in church, and I heard to get this for you. They were handing them out. So, and you can see it. I use this thing, and it is a technical manual like you've never seen. In the beginning, just this first line. And I'm not one of these people who know, I don't know how they know that. How do they memorize all this? Like Genesis 5.6. I have no idea how people do that. But it says, and God said, let us make us an image, let us make man in our own image, after the likeness, and let them have dominion. Dominion, I tell you, dominion is everything. You comprehend dominion, you comprehend the whole universe. Dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle of the land, and over all the earth. And then followed by, and the Lord God formed man and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And what do they do when they take your straw man account? They kill you off. You are not a living soul anymore. You have the sovereign right to that. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And don't, for you people going in this whole crap that you have to have a trust company to negotiate for you. Are you kidding me? Give up your sovereignty again to a banker? I'd rather die.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I kept thinking that just doesn't sound right to me either.
It doesn't make sense, right?
No,
because if you get yourself, at least get your head, as I always say this, our head's on 5D. If you bring your consciousness into 5D, and even though your body still may be stuck on 3D because of the contracts, it's going to be like speaking Chinese to somebody.
I just think a lot of these people don't know exactly what they're talking about personally.
No, they're not awakened.
Because it hasn't come out for the public to be knowledgeable on yet.
And where are they getting their information? From bankers.
Exactly.
Well, that's the stupid. The bankers have no control over this. This whole reset, the real revaluation is done by the alliance.
Do we need money in 4D?
We're not going 4D, we're catapulting. 4D is the astral plane. There's a lot of crap there. We're going to 5D. And we will need money until we can get to the golden age. We've got to bring a lot of people up. And all you people who are awakened, you're the ones going to have your head up here, and you're going to be reaching down, pulling them up the mountain.
So we're going to skip right through 4D, huh?
Yep. You're the way showers. You're the ones that the lighthouses that light the way.
Well, that's cool. I like that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
We're going to jump over to the chat for a question real quick, and then we'll come back over to the hands. When you go to the Redemption Center to exchange your currency, do you claim to be a sovereign being to get a higher rate?
I don't want to touch this one on 20-foot pole, but I don't believe there's going to be redemption centers.
Yeah.
That's here. That's here. That's all I'm going to say about that one.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's go to Mike C.
Hey, with Nasara, you said it went back 3 generations. How do you, I mean, do they track all that? Do they know all the amounts of everything? And like, if I was to die, does my stuff automatically get divided amongst my kids? No.
Not until we get in there. But it's the law of 3. The law of 3 is a lot of things. Let me tell you something. You asked 3 times. Knock and the door shall be opened. Okay, we're going down another rabbit hole. I'll be like Ed Norton. I need some room, okay? Here's the rabbit hole. Knock and the door shall be opened. Ask and ye shall receive. Now, I don't know where. You're going to have to look it up yourself. Again, I'm not one of these people that can say, go to Psalms 15.2. But I will tell you this. The other night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. That's when they do the most communication to me, as probably with a lot of you. You're all waking up at 3 a.m. because that's when the veil is the thinnest. So I got the download, and all I kept hearing, hey, Jude, dude, you know that song? So I was like, what are you trying to tell me? And it wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. I did not know that there's a book of Jude in here. It's 1 page, and it's right before Revelations. I had no clue. But if you read that, it has a lot to do with the RV. It's 1 little page. But there's a part in the Bible that says, now, Bible used to be the 3 dimension is basic instructions before leaving Earth. Having omnipresence of the law of Yahweh. Yahweh is the divine creator. So it's having the omnipresence of the law of Yahweh. And then it's benevolent Ishtar. But it basically means basic instructions. It's how to get off. It's a technical manual, and it's encoded. And when you ask to see the truth in this, when you open the book before you read it, you say, you connect and you say, show me the divine truth. It reads so easy. It really does. I could never read it. These, thous, them, there, those, whatever. Doesn't matter what version. You go and you get what's right for you. I didn't even pick it. It was brought to me. So, and I won't leave this one ever. But in there somewhere, remember the verse about Jesus going into the temple and yelling money changers, and he flips the tables? What were they doing? They were what? Exchanging money. Money changers. And he flipped the tables. That whole thing is about this. You have to turn the table. You've got to flip the table. You don't let them tell you, because then you are giving them your divine power. You tell them but from a place of divine love and divine truth. If you are not in divine love and you do not know your divine truth, you cannot wield divine power. Power is not screaming, yelling, acting like an idiot. It is just claiming the truth of who you are. And if you take this into your heart and check with yourself, some of you this will agree with, some of you will go, that's what I've been thinking. And some of you go, nope, 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 I need a manual. I got to have my book and everything to go in. It's up to you where you're going to go. But there's 1%, 1% that will make it. It's where you want to go. And you can ask and you shall receive. But you've got to turn the tables. Read that section in the Bible about money changers. In my Father's house. Where is his Father's house? What he's talking about. Get your house in order was the first thing. The law, LAW. Land, air, water. That's what law stands for. So there are dimensional concepts to everything.
All right, thank you. Now we have a question in the chat. We're going just a moment, Jean, I'll be right with you. I'm just going to ask this quick question. Where do we get this information on how to become more divinely knowledgeable? It was mentioned that we gave it away. So how does one go about making those personal choices?
You have to choose. And here's something that's very important. And I can't believe I didn't say this yet. So great. I appreciate that question more than anything. A lot of people are falling into dimensions, timelines, by default. I can't stand Biden. I don't want to be part of that. But you're not saying what you want to be part of. So you're defaulting to just the step up. You're not choosing the golden age, the fifth dimensional realm. You literally have to choose it. You're the divine creator. The divine creator is you. It's right here. It says right there, you are given dominion over this entire earth. You are a trustee of this earth. You are the divine creator. You have the divine code. So whatever you decree, what you focus on, you will create. So what you believe is what you create. It's that simple. And you need to choose five. You don't need to. You can do whatever you want. I don't mean to say it that way. I'm not taking it, crossing anybody's dominion here. But you can choose the 5D. You need to choose. And then you simply just, there's parts in here too that says don't pray like everybody else, and don't make it big where everybody sees it and all that other stuff, blah, 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 blah. You pray in the closet is what it says. Pray quietly, ask quietly. You're just talking to your own entity. Who knows you better than you? And you simply say, you know what? I want to bring into my knowingness XYZ. Bring it to me. And it'll come. You'll be amazed at the way it comes. I said, I need a Bible. You want me to start reading the Bible? Bring me a Bible. And here's an interesting thing. When I was reading it, I realized this is the book of life. It's an aspect. It's not the entire book of life, but it's the book of life. And I'm going, oh, I'm in the book of life. I just realized what I said. You'll be written in the book of life. You will be in the book of life. When you're in the book of life, you're guaranteed ascension. What's the book of life? So, what you focus on is what you believe. What you believe is what you create, and what you create is what you become. So it's all what you focus on.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. I do want to mention though too that it's all about your free will. Everything in existence is based on your will. This is just a vessel. Where does your willpower and your consciousness reside? And that's where people need to do their own introspection. I've been doing this for a while now, but I just wanted to put that out there. And we have a question from Jean. Jean, would you ask your question?
Yes. Now, I've read the Bible 3 times, cover to cover.
God.
I learned don't read it like that and take it all the way literal. But yeah, there's great things. I love it. because my sister, I have followed Simon Parks for so long. And my sister thought I was crazy. I said, well, he saw the manted being and stuff like that. And she thought I was crazy. Now, my sister listens to Simon Parks all the time, but that's not what I was wanting to know. When I had a client in, this is the second time this has happened, I would do a Reiki session on her and do her attunement. They feel like that was there, and I had her in hypnosis and stuff. And she came out and she looked at me and she said, you're a white light healer. And I'm going, have you ever heard of this, Lynn?
Yep.
She flat out told me, she said, I've heard this from a couple of women. And when I did their attunement and they felt it go through them, it was like a total shock. When it happened to me, when I felt it, I said, I got to learn how to do this. And I don't know if you know Dr. Raymond A. Moody. He got me interested and he started me out. And it started with Reiki and then it went into hypnotherapy. But when I work with people, I keep telling them, and I'll tell you, I have taken my body into I mentioned Merkaba meditation, the Merkaba diet. I keep my body at a higher alkaline pH. I drink pH water and stuff like that. And everybody thought I was nuts because when I was opening up my third eye, everything I drank, tea, a little bit of coffee, anything, was with distilled water until I felt my third eye open. And people think you're crazy when you talk about it, but you know what you feel and you know what's going on. And everybody goes, why don't you just go to church? I go, because church is too, it is my way or the highway. And I said, I don't think like that.
It religions you. Church is a religion. It religions you, every church.
I had to step out, but I have read my Bible. And if you don't believe in UFOs, you can go, they keep saying there's no such thing as extraterrestrial. Well, then take the book of Ezekiel out of the Bible and why don't you put the book of Enoch back in? But I read quite a bit.
I'm going to ask you this. So that was great that you did it that way. You know, you drank, you did whatever. Wouldn't it have been easier just to go and fix yourself? Bring in your I am presence, bring in the divine light, and just focus it on your pineal gland and watch how fast it
I didn't know to do that, but I had to do it. I have to learn the hard way. Let's put it that way.
Get rid of that program.
Which program?
I have to learn to do it the hard way.
Yeah, really.
Everything comes to me with grace and ease.
Yeah. Well,
everything is divinity.
But yeah, I've done the astral projection thing also. I've played with that and I've seen the fourth dimension. And I have walked in different timelines.
Oh, we're all doing it.
Yeah,
every one
but
of us.
You know it. I mean, when you have every emotion, feeling, and everything else, and you can feel coldness of steel, you can smell everything, you know that you're in another dimension. And you know that you haven't physically, this body hadn't gone through that, but you're seeing it. You understand? You
I don't understand it. I comprehend. Your consciousness is there.
Yeah. And this thing with Stephen Greer, the CE5, the SETI, I'm going, okay, what's this all about? I don't do that, but I like what I do better is I'm comfortable in that. And so I teach people how to do it. And I've had quite good results with it. Where they see the ball, and then you can hold it, you can ride around in it. And that's what Toth was talking about, how he got to go to different dimensions and watch civilizations fall. I mean, he wrote about that in the Emerald Tablets. So I'm a believer that I'm going someplace else. But when I was turned the second time as a white light healer, I said, okay, I know what they're talking about, but I didn't know how to really figure it out if I was that. Is that one thing that you figure out on your own, or does it just come to you?
Just ask. Just
Okay.
ask. And start trusting. The more you trust, this is, and I know Ellen knows this because she's been doing this for years and she's awesome. The more you trust what you hear, the more you will get it. So you make a few mistakes in the beginning. So what? But you don't need anything. You don't need crystals. You don't need every time you rely on something external, you are saying to your own divine natural attributes, you're saying to your divinity, I'm less than. That's what the word blessed means, to be less. They took the E and made it was an I. When you are blissful, it's divinity. I am bliss. That was the law. I am bliss. Instead, now we say I'm blessed. Blessed means to be less. So and that's worked so well for them. They programmed us so much so that, oh my God, how am I going to get the money for this week's bills? What am I doing? I'm putting a big old metal box on the light of the divine, and I'm saying, hello, darkness, my old friend. And that's what's happening.
Right.
All right. Thank you. We have another question over in the chat. It says, what happens to the people who are left behind?
They're exactly where they're supposed to be. They're going through whatever they need to. Let me tell you how many times you've been left behind. We may be left behind again. Who knows? What happened to you? You're here. It's just where they're supposed to be. Not everybody's going to make it this go around, but they chose to fight darkness at a deeper level next time around.
Exactly. It's just like the recycle machine.
I love it.
Okay, let's see what else we got over here. And might be another question. Please explain why we do not say amen.
Ooh, this is somebody who's heard me before. I walk a cycle. I'm just trying to see who that is. Okay. The only thing that says in here, it doesn't tell you to pray or anything, just talk, okay? It tells you to say the prayer, Our Father, that's it. So the Our Father is a very interesting prayer if you listen to it, and if you do it the way it's meant with the intent. But I'm only going to speak from the Catholic version because that's what my brainwashing, Roman Catholic Church, right? They say the Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You're praising their name. Thy kingdom, the king, you are the king of dominion. You're giving it our dominion here on earth as it is where you avail. Heaven was a term where he availed. Over time, it became a place so that we could look external from ourselves. But when you avail to the higher dimensions of the self, you became at the higher levels. So, as it is where you avail. Give us this, the rest of this is very easy. Give us this day, give us today everything we need, our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. Trespass doesn't mean sin. There is no sin. You have free will. So if you give your kid free will to choose A or B and they choose B, you can't get mad at them. There's no sin. You're not yelling at them. So give us our trespasses. Trespasses is when you cross dominion. You're trespassing on someone else's dominion. So forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation. Lead us not into the temptation of all this evil shit. And deliver us from evil. That's where the Catholic Church stops. And they step back and they're way up high. They're overstanding you because you're understanding them. And they're overstanding you. And they say the most important part. That is the decree. The first part of the Our Father is the decree. You are decreeing what you desire. You cannot, it's like, oh, please, I need this, but nobody ever accepts it. Gratitude is the exception, accepting it rather. So the second part of that Our Father says, for I am the power, the glory, and the kingdom now and forever. That is you claiming it. But what do? We let the priest who's overstanding us, and what do we all say? Amen. And the priest has now taken dominion. Amen is Amen. Amen Ra is Moloch. You just offered all your power to Amen Ra, Satan. Moloch is Satan. Amen is his name outright. So every prayer you end in Amen, you are offering to Satan all your power. So when the priest stands in that freaking thing and up on that altar, don't get me pissed off here, and he says, he's claiming I am. We're supposed to be saying that. For I am the power, the glory, and the king of dominion now and forever. I'm claiming the dominion. But they claim it, and we say, go ahead, give it to Satan. We gave all our power to Satan just by that. They are re-legioning you. So that's why you never say amen. The word is hallelujah. And here's the funny thing. The blacks, they're so much more enlightened than we were ever. They were the last indigenous people left that they had to destroy them. They made public slaves out of them. They're no different than us. We're slaves too, but they made them publicly. They showed you the abuse that they right out there for everybody to see. They hung them in public. They did nasty shit to them. But us, they do it quietly. You know, we got a little more respect, I think, not much. We're just more stupid. But they had to destroy the blacks. And if you looked at the old revivals, they never said amen. It was always, hallelujah, praise the Lord, pass the ammunition, you know, when you're down south. It was always hallelujah, which means hail divinity to Yahweh. Yahweh, which is the divine creator, God, the real God. So that's what was the word. And the religion religioned you into Satan. I mean, come on. We went through the communion, right? Did we do the communion thing here? Or was that earlier today? Ellen, did we talk about communion and baptism and stuff?
No.
Okay. So when you're baptized, when you're born, your soul, your actual soul, it has God parents, divine creator parents. They are divine, the ascended masters, Raphael, the angels, everybody has God parents. And I'm going to use that term, but I'm talking of divine creator. And they nurture your soul to embody, they watch over you while you're here and everything else. So what happens when you're baptized in the Catholic faith? Oh, you got to have the kid baptized. You get godparents. Do you see what they're doing? They're taking the divine godparents. And what does the godparents say at the baptism as they stick water over this poor kid's head? They religion you. Part of the thing, and I don't remember it exactly, I have it somewhere written. It says that we will raise them in the Roman Catholic faith. They're raising you in satanic faith. They took you, and your parents allowed it. So they're stepping in as your new godparents, but it's the God of Satan. You just relinquished everything to Satan. Your parents do it for you. Isn't that nice of them? Then you start to grow older, right? You're 8 years old. You make your communion. What do they do at your first communion? You drink blood and you eat body. That's not Christ. You really think Jesus wants you chewing and munching on his physical body or the blood? No. That's what? Adrenochrome. That's satanic ritual.
Yes.
Yes. That's not real. So now you're communing yourself. What do you do in your first communion? You drink the blood and you eat. You're communing yourself with the satanic ritual. And then what's the last one? You're of age now. You're out of your parents' rule. You're confirming your faith into satanic. Welcome to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, no, I have known a little bit about all that for a while. I don't know all the ins and outs, but you know, obviously, the Catholic being universal. That's another thing that you learn from Jordan Maxwell about all these terms and stuff. That is the head of the snake. I mean, they put it in your face with their audience hall.
What is the largest country in this world? Was that Gene? I saw Gene's mouth move, but
Isn't it China?
it's the Vatican.
The Vatican, yeah. Well, I've heard a lot of things. Let's go back for a second on things while I got your attention. Amenhotep, okay, where Amen comes in. Amenhotep changed his name. He became Akhenaten. And now it's out there, Akhenaten was Moses. Have you heard this?
Yep.
Yeah. And so when you find out all this, because he defaced all those, one of the monotheistic God, that goes back to Enlil and Enki. If you're familiar.
Yeah. Adam and Eve. Adam and evolution.
Yes.
There's a lot. Ask to see the truth when you read it.
It's true. And I'm going, because my nephew asked me, he said, is this true? I said, yeah. I said, he followed the Aten. And I got to really explaining it to him. And I said, if that don't blow your religion, what else will? And I told him, I said, you just believe in the creator. That's all it takes. And I said, you are a creator. And I said, the divinity, and I told him the divinity is within you.
Absolutely.
But when you start trying to chase everything down, and how the Vatican was taken over by the Khazarian Mafia 1400 years ago, you learn about this stuff. And see, I went to a Catholic school and I got kicked out of public school. I did it to myself, but that's okay. So when you start learning this stuff, you're learning that, hey, all you're doing, every religion out there they all run over to the Pope. Then you find out the Pope is actually the Caesar of Rome.
There's 5 popes. There's not even just one.
It's not one, that's right. But I was just saying, referring, because most people refer to just one.
But
So,
why are there 5? Why are there 5 popes? What is
I
a
haven't-
pentagram? What is a pentagram?
The
5
pentagram,
popes.
yes. Well,
Satan.
you see, if you follow, I did a lot of commercial photography back in Memphis, where I'm from. And I was, when the Damien Eccles, I don't know if you know about the West Memphis 3, back in the 90s, where they killed little kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I was assigned to go into all these places because I was the only one crazy enough to do it. And I was photographing all this stuff to show parents through the churches what to look for. I thought I was doing something good. The guy from out west who was an occult, he studied the occults, and it got to where I could read it and knew exactly what the pentagram and everything else was talking, where they were going to have meetings and this, that, and the other, what type. And it got pretty bad. I was in some pretty rough places photographing this stuff.
Everything we have ever learned is lies. Even when they talk about the ley lines, ley lines were laid by man. They hook up every building to every building. And that's why we're not going to, we will, but it's not going to be a fast thing to undo those ley lines. So I tell everybody I know, every step, I say this all the time, every step I take, every place I walk, I lay the lines of the divine. I'm going to undo their ley lines. They want evil, fine. The divine will always overpower evil. So if everybody did that, every step I take, or every foot I walk, I lay the lines of the divine. You're leaving the light, because they laid lines. Every building, Masonic is man of Satan, and the cornerstone, and that whole thing, that's your angle. If you read the Masonic books, what's your angle is the first thing. They want to know what your angle is in every building. But every building is laid in direct alignment with the next one. They have created an entire grid around this planet. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to ask you people, because you're all so enlightened, and I have no answers to this one. So maybe you guys can come up with an answer. I worked for years in satellite communications. I could tell you stuff that would curl your hair, okay? They created ley lines, which is a grid around the earth. You tell me why we need 60, 90,000 satellites in the air. You tell me, have any of you read the FCC application for Starlink? And it says straight on it, it's for outer space exploration. Then why is it put in inner space? Why in the beginning it says we're only going to use like 14 gigahertz, and that in the middle it says 150 gigahertz? Why is it said that we're going to use this for internet, when if you look where the towers are, the people who need the internet are people like me in the mountains and in mid-Central America? Why are all the towers in the cities? Why aren't they where the internet's supposed to be? Why do we need 98,000? You can take 3 satellites, triangulate them, and cover the whole plane. So why do we need all these triangles? And why, who was a person who basically was going into bankruptcy, Elon Musk, how did he get all these trillions of dollars to build these satellites? Where did all the money come for putting them in the air? Why would a private person put them in the air when we have our own satellite force? You're telling me our own satellite space program can't put them in the air? These are all questions I have. It's like, this does not give me a warm and fuzzy, these things. So I ask everybody, because people think this is a great thing. Go on the satellite. You can go to Starlink and watch them. They're moving. It's a complete grid over the earth. Are we taking down one veil and putting up another?
No, that's their space.
Scares the bejeebus out of me. I don't know if, and I ask, and here's another thing. I have very clear clarity. I've been doing this. I've been talking to the Ascended Masters since I came into this world. And I have very clear clarity. And I ask, now, if Jean robbed a bank and didn't want me to know about it, if I said, called my entourage in and said, did Jean rob that bank? They would not cross dominion and tell me because his will is not to be known. So almost by getting a no answer, I kind of get my own answer. And every time I ask about Starlink, I get ugats, nothing. So somebody doesn't want you to know what Starlink is about.
If I happened to have robbed the bank, I was just going back reclaiming what's already mine anyway. So what the heck? I want the title of your book. I do want it.
It's not done yet because they took down my website twice. I had to redo websites. I had to do a lot. I just finished doing all this and I got some free time now. I got to start working. And I taught a quantum consciousness class and a DNA class. And Ellen, what were you saying? I apologize.
Oh, I was going to ask.
Talking about the Starlink. You had a question, Carol?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I came in late, so I apologize if this was covered, but I'm just curious how you've managed to, it sounds like you pretty much still believe the Bible, even though we know stuff has been taken out. Can you just explain to me how you can still believe in that book? I guess I don't even know what I'm getting at, but does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. This is a technical manual and it's coded. If you learn how to decode, it's in there. It's like ragu. It's in there. It was put in there, and you can read the same people, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people can read the same page and get 4 definitions out of it. It is completely coded. And if you ask to see the truth and you go in there in the 5th dimensional realm and you look at it, you will see truth that's applying to the 3rd dimensional world. Not everything is applying to the 5th dimensional world. That's what I was telling you about the part where Jesus walked into some temple and it said money changers, exchangers. They're exchanging money. You got to turn the tables and you got to take it back. You know, you ask to see the truth. It's in there.
I also heard there was a lot of manipulation and they changed it. So that's what I have a hard time with too, is how can I know what's real and what's been manipulated?
And that's what I said earlier. I've never read it. I never read this my entire life. I hated the Catholic Church. I hated everything about it, including this. Never, ever, ever read it. Man wrote the Bible. Who the heck are they? I talk to the divine, and I was chatting with the divine all the time. So I'm not going to read a stupid book. And Saint Germain told me early, never read a book. And I was like, but I got to pass my tests, and I got to read schoolwork. And I said, how many? He goes, don't worry. Don't read a book. Connect to the consciousness. Reading books is someone else's interpretation. So I never read. And yet I blew through school like you wouldn't believe. But so that even pushes why I wouldn't even read this. It's a book, right? So I never read it. In 2014. I was talking about it. I was told to read it. And I'm like, I'm not going to read this. Are you kidding me? Man wrote it. And that's when I heard loud and clear that you're telling me that the divine creator of all that is and all that is not can't get a book written. And I literally looked up and said, well, if you want me to read, you're going to have to bring me one. I don't have one. What? I didn't know anything about a Bible. And I told the story. A guy I worked with at the pizza place, I met at the pizza place, brought this to me that day. So I started reading it. But I was told by Archangel Gabriel to actually read it from the higher aspects of yourself and ask to see the divine truth. And it's all in there. And yes, there's lots. If you're telling me Jesus couldn't write, apparently he was illiterate and couldn't write because there's no writings of his in here, right? Of course, they didn't put it in. There's lots left out, but there's enough in there to get you to the 5th dimensional plane. And then this doesn't exist anymore. Because what's truth in the 3rd dimension is not truth in the 5th dimension. Does that make sense?
I think I just need to think about it a little bit.
Don't think, imagine. Okay? Imagination is the I am magistrate. That's where it comes from. Thinking is the P brain, the third dimension. So they always want you to think. And that's why people get stuck in their head and it's running 24/7. When you were a little kid, do you ever hear the little kids, the New Yorkers used to go, "Ooh, let's make a believe. Let's make a believe." And they were talking to invisible people, right? They had imaginary friends. They were connected to the quantum field through the imagination. That's why Disney, I used to work with them, they were called Imagineers. Engineers that didn't get corrupted. But Disney was so corrupt, it's another thing. But the whole thing is your imagination. So when you think about stuff, what is this? It's a computer. It only has memory of what was programmed in it. And the programs were programmed by, not the good ones, the whole earth, every experience you've had. So that's what's in here. So you're only going to get access when you think about something of what's in here. And you're going to logistically try to put it together instead of divinely come from the knowing, the divine knowing. So I was like you. No way am I going to read this. There's no freaking way. Man wrote this piece of crap. Boy, was I changed. Holy crap. There's so much. Everything that's going on right now is in here. Everything. It's amazing. You just got to decode it.
Yep. I grew up with it. And then I kind of realized how corrupt it was. So I kind of threw everything out. The baby with the bathwater. Forget the Bible.
Me
I don't
too.
want to read it.
And this has a connotation of religion, which, God, get it away from me, those Catholic,
Right.
Look at this knuckle. It's broken from the nuns, I couldn't stand it, and I used to scream and yell with the priest all the time because they used to get mad at me. They wouldn't let me be an altar boy. I couldn't be up on the thing. And I said, why not? Well, only men have divine calling. And I used to say, excuse my French, well, what the F is a nun? It's someone who had divine calling that you won't allow to be a priest, And I used to get constantly slapped in the face because that's what they did back then. And they also called me demonic back then because I could chat with divine and I would correct them on so many things. And oh my gosh, it was horrible. So this was the pain and suffering I went through, what they did there. This was part of it. And there's no way I was going to read this. But I'm so glad that Gabriel pushed me into reading it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
There is a lot left out. You're absolutely right. And those books will be made known. And does it really matter? Does it really truly matter? And I'm not saying this happened or didn't happen. Please don't write me or text me about this. But does it matter if Jesus was crucified or not? What matters is what he came here to teach. Right? It doesn't matter what the exact story was. Get the gist of it. Right? Pull out the good stuff. I am that I am. He tells you are the creator. You will do far greater things than I could ever do. That's telling you are the creator.
I think the part I don't like is the part about you are a sinner, you are fallen short, all of that lingo.
That's not in here. That's in the church. That's not in here.
Well,
no place in here does it say anybody. That's why the Our Father says trespasses. It's all about dominion. In the first thing of Genesis, you were giving dominion over the land, the air, and the water, and over the earth. You are the trustee of this planet, and you were given a living soul. You have dominion. Lead the people. The Constitution is the most divine document ever written. And to let anybody, and I'll sit there and I'll go head to head with them. And I've gone head to head with a few people on this. To tell me man of God documents are what we should be following, I tell them to go bend over. And I will stand up for this on anybody face to face. I will rip that to shred. There is no better divine document than the Constitution of America. It's the Republic of America. It's what's going to be the whole thing for the world. It gives we the people, as promised by our divine creator, sovereignty and dominion over the earth and over us. And they want to change that. And I ask this of people. If the man of God documents are so rightful, why is his name being hidden? Number one. Number two, I love this one. He's supposed to be a general in the American army. or the American, whatever, Army, Air Force, Navy, I don't know, general in our military, then why did he write in the Queen's English color, COLOUR, if he's an American? And I happen to know who he is, and he masquerades under several different names. So tell me, those documents are anything but divine. The divine is simple and doesn't hide anything. It doesn't stand on ceremony. It is what it is. I am, comma, that I am. I am stupid, that I am. I am smart, that I am. You create your own dominion. You are the king or queen of your dominion. You create it. You don't like it, change it. No exceptions, no excuses. And there is no document, these man of God crap. And I'm going to put this out there, and this is going to get me in big trouble. But I don't care, because this is one of my pet peeves. I got notification that because I have a following of people, and if I put his stuff and I promote his stuff on my site, I would get first dibs into Reno. What the? That's divine? Are you kidding me? That's the other world, all satanic.
I have to agree. I agree with you. Is that feedback coming from your speakers? It's so
I don't have a speaker. I just have the one camera.
It's so bizarre how that feedback just keeps coming back in. So anyway, we have another question, Leah. We're going to have to wrap it up soon. Leah, you have your hand up?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hey, how are you? I like what you're saying. I too was raised Catholic, and I have scars on my knuckles.
I take my hat off to you. You survived.
Wow. Oh, Lord. Two things. I can comment on a bunch of things. You talk about the Roman Catholic Church. We must not forget that the Protestant Church is also the Roman Protestant Church. There's very, very different. And as far as the adrenochrome, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I have been hearing others talk about the blood in the religions, and it's basically it's adrenochrome. I don't understand how anybody can go to a church or sit under a priest or a pastor or a preacher. I don't understand that. If they're
don't
totally,
understand, you don't comprehend it.
Well, okay, thank you. Next thing is, someone asked about, we're talking about the dimensions. It's been taught by some spiritual folks that yes, we will be in the fifth dimension, but we're going to stay here on Earth. The others are going to a 3D planet someplace. We're going to be right here where we are, probably in our own homes.
Well, it's going to be a little different. They don't have a concept, and I am not. That's for another time. I'm actually going to be teaching a class on this, because everybody always corner me between flat Earth and round Earth, and I call it flound. You know, it's dimensionally flat, but it's a hologram. You know, if you know anything about science and how holograms are made, if I want to make a hologram of my little mouse here, what I do is I take a light and I scan all the dimensions, the color and everything, and I put it on a plate, and then I send another laser through it, and that makes it holds the information about this, and then it makes it with two lights, and the lasers create this hologram. So we have people called divine watchers. They're the watchers. They're holding the blueprint. Okay, what's the biggest laser you've ever seen? The biggest light, the sun. So this whole place is a holographic image. It's not real, none of it. And all this stuff. This is my crown chakra going crazy. Sorry, guys. negate. I apologize. I'm scratching. This whole thing about everybody worrying about this 3D, you know, the bloodlines. You mentioned the bloodline. Oh, well, JFK and Trump is the bloodline, and this and the bloodline of that and the bloodline of Jesus. Who the heck cares? You're the divine creator. The bloodline is a 3D thing. There ain't no blood in 5D. It's pure divine quantum field. bloodline is 3D, and they're making these big deals. Oh, I got the king. It's all control. It's all control. Are you meaning to tell me that like the blood, let's say JFK or Trump is this divine bloodline, he's the 5th generation or 50th generation of Jesus, Yahweh, I mean Yeshua ben Joseph. So what? Doesn't mean he couldn't have got corrupted. Does that mean he's better than I am? Jesus actually said, Yeshua said in the Bible, I stand alongside of you. I'm not better, I'm not less. I'm alongside because you would do far greater things. So it's like, who cares about bloodline? Think of that. Bloodline. That's so demonic. It's really, really crazy. And they all just keep getting into this. And all this is meant to distract everybody from stepping into who they really are. Because if you're the divine creator and you can go, poof, they can't touch you. I end all my webinars with MC Hammer. Nah, 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 nah. Can't touch this because they can't unless you allow them to cross into your dominion. Otherwise, they can't touch you. You are so powerful. And if you even stepped into this much of your power, you can knock them dead in a heartbeat. Could you imagine if you stepped into full throttle? If you turned into your light body, it would be incredible.
I got a question. How can we follow you other places?
Don't follow me.
Well, you said you got webinars.
I present. I just present. I don't want followers. I do have a website, and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday we do meditation. Sundays are free. Tuesdays and Thursdays we built a great community. It's only $12. It's to cover the platform, and it's like $1 a meditation. We do 12 a month, and we have a community. We do an hour's worth of discussion and classes, and then we do a meditation. So,
what's the name of it?
Power, Passion, Freedom. You step into your power, you live your passion, you obtain your divine freedom.
We posted the website in the chat a few times, actually. Let's see what else. But there was another question here. Let me see. Oh, when do you believe truth will be shared with the masses? Well, it's a process. What do you think, Leana?
It's already being shared.
Mm-hmm.
But who's going to look at it? You know, and I tell people all the time, think of it, every one of you are on a different dimension than the sheeples. And I've been told by the divine, don't judge. Judgment is the fastest anchor to 3D. And by calling somebody a sheeple, you're judging.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have been just as easy controlled as they did. But you came here, you made an agreement that you would wake up. So in your body elemental, within your DNA, you wrote the code that when one of the solar flares hit, it would wake your butt up. That's what we did. So they are here for another experience. We shouldn't judge them. But I use the word sheeple to show you the dimensional changes. As adamant as you are about not getting the vaccine, that's how adamant they are about getting it. And it doesn't matter. This person is speaking Japanese and this person is speaking Spanish. They can't hear each other. So you have had conversations begging family members, begging people. I know almost everybody has. Oh, don't get the shot. Please don't get it. And they're just as nasty and adamant back as you are loving and controlling. You're trying to control their dominion, but that's okay. I'm not getting into that. And that shows you they can't comprehend what you're saying. And you sit there and go, how on God's green earth could you possibly think this is good? And that's how you know you're on different dimensions. You can see the shift. They can't speak your language, and you can no longer speak that language. You were red-pilled. You woke up. You're waking up. And you're going, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Religioning you into demonic. And it aggravates me when I hear our so-called Nasara Jasara leaders saying, we got to go back. We're going to claim back our democracy. No, we're not. Democracia. Demonic rule. We are not. Don't trust anybody. We are not a democracy. We are a republic. And it's all about stepping out and claiming the timeline. You're defaulting to the timeline above this, but you want to get to here. So claim it with all that you are. I choose the 5D or higher, or always higher, the 5D or higher timeline. I choose the golden age. I choose divine love, divine truth, and divine power, and I accept my divine righteousness. Okay, I'm off my pedestal.
No, that's correct. I mean, we've just got to express to everyone here listening, and then everyone who listens to this once it's up on YouTube, your will is everything. What you want for your experience here is absolutely everything, no matter what, because that you are pure consciousness having a physical experience. And we just have to reiterate this over and over and over. What do you want from this experience?
Create your world. And if you want to have some fun, but do it with discernment, because, you know, I got in a lot of trouble a lot of times. When you introduce to somebody, like say I'm going to introduce myself to Ellen, and Ellen says, "Hi, I'm Helen." I said, "Hi, I'm God having an experience as Leana." And you got to see their eyes light up. It's like, huh? But be careful who you do that with, because it could get you a 20-hour lecture.
It's true.
That you are the divine creator having an experience as Doug, Ellen, Carol, Leah, whoever. It's just an experience. You don't like it, change it. You know, and that's why you think it's coinky dinky. You have an I am. You know, when the Bible says, "What is your name?" I am that I am. They're trying to tell you that's your power of your words, right? You think it's a coinky dinky that these two things have the same vibration as I, or EYE? Because what you see becomes your creation. That's how this world was set up in the holographic image. It's no coinky dinky. So why do you close your eyes when you meditate? So you shut this I am off and you go into the divine. All these things are done. There's so many words like that that are just so detrimental to our awakening. And it's not an awakening, because somebody said, I said that on the Charlie Ward show when I think Michael said, "Oh, we have to awaken." I said, "No, I know a lot of awake people that are real complete idiots. You could be wide awake and be a jerk, but it's remembrance. It's recovering your remembrance of who you are."
And it's a challenge. It's a uphill battle a lot of times, you know. You're like, okay, I got to remember this.
Grace and ease.
With ease and grace, we go into the future. Jean, you have a question. We're going to make yours the last one, because we do need to move on from this.
Actually, no, it's not a question. It was a response to hers. I'm God having a Leana experience. I have another one that's really, I find really fascinating that people react to. And they say, "Aren't you afraid of dying?" I said, "No, I can't wait to drop this three-dimensional mud hut and get the hell out of here." I get some really good responses out of that one.
Yeah.
Y'all, I have totally enjoyed tonight.
Me too, guys. I'm losing. They keep me going. You know, this is now, how many hours has this been?
We have been on for 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's why.
And right before this, I did 4 hours. So this is 6 hours and 45 minutes of this. I'm never going to sleep tonight. I'm supercharged now. It's just.
I know how it gets, you know, when you get in these conversations with people who really, truly get your same frequency. You know, you can just go for hours and hours and hours. I find myself getting electrically charged. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And you know what, Ellen? Because you know your group, these people who are here tonight, if you guys want to, what is today, Sunday? If you guys want to come, you're all in Georgia?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I should know by the y'all accent. Yo, 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 how's it hanging? You don't know. But if you guys want, Ellen, I will give you a link for Tuesday, and you guys can all be my guests on Tuesdays and meet the community if you like. For free, if you want. It's
yay! That'd be amazing.
What time would that be?
It's 7:30 Eastern. Well, your Georgia time, so 7:30 at night.
Okay.
I can do that.
You will see an amazing community of light These people are, and they're just so ass kicking that the level, I mean, I've been doing this for 35, 40 years, maybe more. I don't want to say it, but the level, the level that we were doing was here. And now this community has brought it up to here. And I could not be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for the awesome community that we have. It's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll put that in the links. We'll send out an email to our guests here.
Yeah, I'll get you that. It's a Zoom webinar registration.
Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Leana, for being here and for being our guest tonight.
My honor. You guys, you know, I'm so honored because, and I tell this to people all the time, this is the second phase of what I'm here to do. After this, I know what my next thing is I have to do. And I could not complete my divine plan if it wasn't for everybody who's doing this with us. So how cool is this? We're all assisting each other get to the next level. It is like ass kicking. There's the New York in me again. You'll see a lot of New York comes out. 58 years in New York, you know?
Well, this is what it's all about. You know, it's about sharing what we know in a common platform. Let's accept each other, you know, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help in some regard. You know, we have to just reach out and help each other and connect as much as possible.
Yeah, we have to assist each other. And I'm going to leave with this last thing. You know how in Queens, New York, they're always like, yo, 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 how's it hanging, bro? You know, that kind of thing. I actually was in a store about 2 years ago, and they had this book. I was just killing time waiting for somebody to meet up. And they had this book. I think it was like the 72 names or 74 names of God or something silly. And let me tell you how right New Yorkers are. One of the names of the divine creator is Yo, Yo, Yo. So I was like, darn, we had it right all along.
That's pretty funny. We could just keep going for hours and hours because I have more questions, but you know what? We're going to have to end it right here. Maybe we'll just have you on as our guest again, Leana, if you're willing to come back.
I love it. But can you tell me where to get your hat? I love that hat.
You know, I don't even remember. I've had this hat for a few years now. I don't even remember where I got it. I'll find you one.
Awesome. I want that. That's such a cool hat, and you look so awesome in it. And your light just, I love that hat. Of course, I'll never look as good as you in the hat, but I like it.
Oh, you look pretty good in this hat. Come on, I'll try to find you one.
Okay.
All right. Again, thank you, Leana. And everybody, you guys can unmute your microphones and tell her thank you and have a good evening.
No, we just appreciate it. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
So, Ellen, I'll send you.
Thank you, Leana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The link.
Yes, thank you. Leana. Everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Namaste.
Good night. I love seeing the faces.
Thank you. Night.